Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going wonderful. Today I'm going to create a project for Papertrey Ink and we're using the Graceful Butterflies Stamp set. This is a super pretty layering stamp set with each of these beautiful butterflies. And then there's some beautiful sentiments in here. There is a coordinating die set that I'll be using to die cut out my butterflies, but there are coordinating dies. There's 3 of them actually that will cut out some of the sentiments in the set too, which makes it really nice if you like to layer. We're going to jump in and do a little bit of stamping. We're going to start by taking some white cardstock, and I'm going to stamp with an acrylic block today. The inks that I'm going to be using today are Limeade Ice and Raspberry Fizz. We have Hawaiian Shores, Blueberry Sky, Berry Sorbet, and also Harvest Gold. So nice bright summery colors. We're going to start by taking our first butterfly base. I'll take this, we're going to ink this butterfly up with Blueberry Sky, our light blue ink here. We'll go ahead and stamp this in the bottom corner. You can see how pretty the butterfly is. I'm going to zoom in a little bit better so you can see. For my second layer, I'm going to bring in Hawaiian Shores. We'll ink up the left and right here. This just adds a two-tone color to our butterfly, and so I'll ink this up, and it's very easy to line up. We will stamp that and we're good to go. How pretty is this? I'll clean off this and we're going to go for our next butterfly. We're going to use the medium one. Next we're going to use, how about Berry Sorbet? It's a nice corally pink color. We'll ink up our butterfly, most solid butterfly here. We'll stamp that. And then we'll add our second layer for some detail. Our second layer, I'm going to use my Harvest Gold ink. And again, these are really easy to line up. Add a little touch of gold to those wings. We'll ink up our third butterfly with Limeade Ice and stamp this. And then we'll go ahead and add the detail layer. And we're going to use Raspberry Fizz for that. Wonderful. And our butterflies are good to go. I'm going to go ahead and use the coordinating dies and die cut out each one of my butterflies. Once our butterflies are die cut, I thought we would make a shaker card today. So to do that, we're going to set these aside and work on our background. We are going to bring in some white cardstock, and I'm going to use the Mix and Matte Postal Die. I'm going to use the most inner side piece, and we are going to create a panel. I'm going to center it, but eventually I'm going to trim down the right side, but it's easier for me to just center this and run this through the die cut machine. Okay, after we have our postal, or most inner piece of our postal die, I'm going to make sure that the points are pointing down, and I think this is going to make a great shaker card. So to make the shaker, it's really easy, but I don't want my card to shake too much, since we have some solid area in our window here. I want to make sure that some of the sequins stay stationary. To do that, it's very easy. I have 2 pieces of acetate. One of the acetate pieces, I already put score tape along the sides. Now my acetate is larger than my postal window here. Next, we're going to remove the release paper off of our acetate. Both of my acetate pieces are the same size. So we're going to remove the release paper here. And then I'm going to take some sequins. The sequins that I'm using are the Moonshine sequins that have been very popular over at the Papertrey Ink shop. I love the different sizes in here, but I think it's just going to add the right amount of sparkle behind our window. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and you just use my tweezers and kind of spread out these sequins. If you have them in a little pile towards the center, it's going to be a little bit bulky. So the more you spread them out for this technique, the better it is. Now I'm going to take my acetate that's the same size, and we're going to sandwich both of these together. I'm using acetate, but you could use packaging for this. This way we have some sequins that shake just a little bit, but for the most part they're stationary. Okay, let's put these aside. And before we add this to the background of our window, we're going to trim down our panel here. And I'm just going to take a little over 1/4 inch off of the right side of my panel. I'm going to add some cardstock behind it, and so I want a little bit overhanging. So it kind of looks funny, but bear with me. Now I'm going to flip over my panel. We're going to add adhesive to the back of it. And then we can go ahead and add our shaker element right to the back. And you can see it still shakes, where some are still stationary. After we have this done, we're going to flip this around and add foam adhesive behind it. Now after we have our foam adhesive attached to the back of our shaker window, I want to doctor this up a little bit. So to do that, I'm going to bring in a couple die sets from Papertrey Ink. I have the Eyelet Lace die, and I'm going to die cut out the eyelet with some white cardstock. And then for my sentiment, I'm going to be using the Tags 1 die set. I'm going to use the smallest tag in this set for my sentiment. Once we have our eyelet lace border cut and our tag, I'm going to keep this white. I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to use my tape runner and add some adhesive behind it. And this is going to go in the left area of my panel. I just want to make sure that it's evenly spaced. And then on our tag, we're going to take our stamp set and stamp our sentiment. I love the sentiment here that says, "What the caterpillar calls the end, the master calls a butterfly." I think that's so pretty, and it'll fit perfectly on my tag here. So I'm going to stamp with my True Black ink. We'll just ink up our sentiment and stamp right in the middle of our tag. Lovely. Now I want a little bit of color in my background, so I'm going to take a card front panel using Hawaiian Shores Cardstock. It's a really pretty teal color. A card front panel measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and adhere this directly to my card base. Once this is adhered, I'm going to flip around my shaker. We're going to remove the release paper, and we're going to add this to the front of our card all the way to the right. We'll just tack this down. And we have some sparkle behind our window. Now we have our butterflies. I'm going to flip around each one of my butterflies. I like to fluff the wings up. I went ahead and folded the wings a little bit and put foam adhesive behind each one of my butterflies. And then I do want to bring in some twine. So I'm going to double it up. And I'm going to tie a bow with this. Once I'm happy with my bow, I'm going to use a glue dot and just pick one up with my scissors. I'm going to add it to the top of my tag here. You could thread it through if you want, but sometimes adding it directly to the top of the bow, you have a little more control on how your bow looks. I'm going to flip over my tag. We're going to add some foam adhesive behind here. I'm going to place it over my eyelet border at a little bit of an angle, and then I'll remove the release paper off of my butterflies, and then we can go ahead and add these as if they're floating. I think that looks really pretty. I'm going to finish off my card with a few more of my sequins. These are Hawaiian Shores. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. Okay, I think that looks wonderful. I'll just put these back in the jar. And then that will finish off my card today using the Graceful Butterflies. It's a brand new stamp set over at the Papertrey Ink shop. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a lovely day, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.